Have you ever had that experience where you walk into a room, maybe it's a high-stakes meeting or just a party, and there is someone there who, without even speaking, just seems to have this gravitational pull?
It's that feeling of weight, right? But in the best possible way, a stabilizing weight.
Yes.
You feel safer just because they're in the room.
Exactly. It's like they have their own weather system.
Yeah.
And then conversely, we all know people who are, shouting to be heard, posting constantly, trying so hard to take up space, but they feel kind of empty or scattered. Like if you lean on them, you just fall right through.
It's the difference between presence and noise.
Right. And today, we are unpacking a framework that explains exactly why that difference exists. We are doing a deep dive into The City Within Becoming a Living Plex by a Dr. Carlton Johnson. And I have to say, looking at the research here, this isn't your standard, drink more water and think positive thoughts, self-help guide.
No, not at all.
This reads more like an architectural blueprint for the human soul.
It really is. And what caught my attention immediately with Johnson's work is that he completely sidesteps the usual personality tests. He isn't interested in whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, or a type A.
Okay.
He thinks those are too static. Instead, he introduces this concept of the Plex.
The Plex. It sounds a bit sci-fi, doesn't it? Like a space station or something.
It does, but he's using it as a shorthand for complex or interwoven. Think of a multiplex cinema or complex ecosystem. The core argument is that you aren't just a single monolithic person.
Right.
You are a living, breathing city. You contain multitudes.
I love that metaphor because cities are messy. They have zoning laws, trash collection, beautiful parks.
And bad neighborhoods you don't want to walk in at night.
Exactly. Johnson argues that every human being has this entire geography inside them. Temples, courts, market squares, guarded gates, slums, even ruins.
Right. And the difference between a regular person and a Plex is that most people are just, well, they're tourists in their own bodies. They're just visiting. A Plex governs their city.
That is the hook for me. Being a tourist in your own life versus being the mayor or the architect. So our mission for this deep dive is to literally walk through this internal city. We're going to map out the 7 districts Dr. Johnson describes, and more importantly, meet the 7 archetypes that guard them.
And I want to be clear for everyone listening, this isn't just abstract philosophy, this is highly practical. As we walk through these, I want you to visualize your own internal city.
Okay.
Which neighborhoods are thriving, which ones are boarded up, because Johnson's thesis is brutal but true. If you don't inhabit these spaces, something else will.
Oh, wow.
Fear, trauma, other people's opinions, they are more than happy to squat in your abandoned buildings.
Squatters' rights in the soul. That is a terrifying thought. Okay, let's open the map. The book describes this layout as a mandala, so concentric circles radiating outward.
Yeah.
So logically, we have to start the bullseye, the absolute core. This is what Johnson calls the seat.
The seat. It's the center of authority, the anchor. It's where the I am resides. And the archetype that guards this district is the sovereign.
The sovereign. Now, I have to play devil's advocate here immediately. Hearing sovereign, my brain goes to king or queen, and that feels, I don't know, a bit egocentric.
It's a natural reaction, but Johnson is very careful to distinguish the sovereign from a tyrant. A tyrant rules by force because they're insecure.
Right. They need constant validation.
Exactly. A sovereign rules by presence. The sovereign's core voice is simply, let it be so. It's the decision maker. It's the part of you that provides alignment and order.
Okay, so think about that feeling of being indecisive. That chaotic spinning feeling where you can't choose a restaurant, let alone a career path.
Oh, the paralysis, where you're doom scrolling for answers or asking 5 different friends what you should do.
Yes, that's it.
That paralysis is a city without a sovereign on the throne. Johnson calls that abdication.
Abdication. Stepping down.
Stepping down and leaving the seat empty. And this is where it gets dangerous. The text says, if you do not sit in the seat, someone else will. If you abdicate your own authority, maybe your anxiety takes the throne. Maybe your mother's critical voice from 20 years ago takes the throne.
So having a sovereign isn't about controlling other people. It's about ensuring that you are the one running your own internal government.
Correct. The book mentions 2 tools the sovereign holds, the scepter and the scroll. The scepter is vision. We are going there. The scroll is wisdom and law, knowing the values of the city.
Let it be so. It's so final, so calm. It's not screaming.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have the decision maker in the center. Now, moving just one ring outward, we enter the temple. And here we meet the Seer.
The Seer, the guardian of the temple. This is the part of you that deals with the mystery. Now, I know we have a lot of rational, logical listeners who might check out at the word temple, but stay with us. In our hyper-rational, data-driven world, we often try to spreadsheet our way through life. The Seer isn't about analyzing data. It's about perception.
Johnson makes a really interesting distinction here between sight and vision. I found this really helpful.
It's crucial. Sight is looking at things surface level. Vision is looking into them. The Seer asks, what is really happening here?
So if you walk into a meeting and everyone's smiling, but the air feels tense?
Right. Your sight sees smiles. Your Seer feels the tension.
It's the vibe check. The Seer is the internal vibe check.
Essentially, yes, it's intuition. But we have to be careful here, right? Because relying entirely on vibes can be a disaster.
Oh, absolutely. I've definitely had vibes that were just me being hungry.
Right. The book talks about the shadow side being spiritual elitism or mistrust. If your Seer is overactive, but you have no sovereign to ground it, you become the person who says, nobody understands me because I'm so deep. Or you fall into paranoia, I feel like they hate me, therefore they hate me.
That's just a recipe for isolation.
Exactly. The Seer needs the sovereign. The Seer provides the intel, the sovereign makes the call.
Okay, so we got the decision maker and the mystic.
Yeah.
Now we move further out into the middle districts. This feels like where the rubber meets the road.
Yes, this is about doing. The next district is the courts.
The courts, home of the scribe.
The scribe, yes. The guardian of memory and truth. Their voices, I observe, I preserve.
Now, I'm a chronic note-taker, so I felt seen by this. But Johnson implies the scribe does more than just take dictation. This is about narrative, isn't it?
It is. The scribe is the interpreter of your history. Johnson has this beautiful line, words are worlds. The scribe gives language to your pain, to your joy. If you don't have an active scribe, you never really process anything.
So you just kind of loop, like a broken record.
You loop. The shadow of the scribe is getting stuck in the past, rereading old chapters over and over, or over-intellectualizing. You know the type. Analyzing your feelings so much that you never actually feel them.
Analysis paralysis. I think a lot of smart people hide out in the courts. We think if we could just explain why we're sad, we won't have to actually be sad.
That is the scribe trying to do the sovereign's job. The scribe records the truth. They don't rule the city.
Got it. Okay, moving next door, we find the commonplace. This sounds like the town square.
It is. It's where real life happens. Your community, family, co-workers. And the guardian here is the servant.
Now, hold on. Servant can be a loaded word. For some people, that sounds like being a doormat.
It can be, but Johnson pushes back on that hard. He defines the servant's core voice as, I carry, I tend.
Okay.
This isn't about being lesser than. This is the silent strength of the city. While the sovereign is making decrees, the servant is actually making sure the kids are fed and the coffee is made. It's functional love.
But there's a massive warning label on this one in the book. It feels like a huge trap.
Huge. The shadow of the servant is martyrdom. And this is vital for anyone listening who identifies as a helper or a fixer. Service is sacred, but Johnson writes, service is not servitude.
That distinction is key.
Dang.
What does that look like?
It's the difference between giving from your overflow and giving from your essence until you're empty. The shadow servant sacrifices until they resent the very people they're helping.
Right. If you find yourself thinking, I do everything for everyone and nobody appreciates me.
Your servant has taken over the city.
The servant has staged a coup.
And a servant makes a terrible king. Because a servant without a sovereign has no boundaries. They say yes to everything until they collapse.
Love with boundaries. Actually, speaking of boundaries, that transitions us perfectly to the next ring.
Cool.
We are at the gates.
So the gates. Inner and outer, and standing watch here is the Sentinel.
The Sentinel, the bouncer of the soul.
In a way, yes. The Sentinel's role is protection and discernment. Their core concept is love with a backbone. They decide what thoughts get in, what energy goes out.
I feel like in the modern world, with social media and constant notifications, our sentinels are just exhausted. It feels like our gates are smashed open.
Or the opposite happens. The shadow of the Sentinel is hypervigilance. This happens when you've been hurt. Your internal sentinel decides, okay, that hurt. Nobody gets in ever again.
You build walls instead of gates.
And Johnson made a point there that stuck with me. A wall is not a gate. A wall is a prison. A gate is designed to open and close.
That's the critical function, discernment. A healthy sentinel is alert, but calm. They aren't treating every interaction like a threat.
Right.
Now, right outside the gate, It's my favorite archetype because it's so unexpected. The stranger.
The stranger is the most uncomfortable one for most of us.
Yeah.
Their role is disruption and transformation.
Their motto is, I bring what's missing. But why do we need a stranger? Why can't we just lock the gates and be happy?
Because a closed system eventually dies. Entropy sets in. If nothing new enters your city, it stagnates. The stranger is the new idea, the difficult person who challenges your worldview, the surprise diagnosis.
The chaos element.
It is. We usually try to keep the stranger out.
Okay.
We want predictability.
But if you keep the stranger out, your city becomes a museum. Dusty and dead.
Exactly. Without the stranger, there is no growth. A true Plex isn't afraid of the stranger. They invite them to the outer gate safely, with the Sentinel watching, and ask, "What are you here to teach me?"
It's that idea that the thing you are resisting is probably the thing you need the most.
Beautifully put. But again, the shadow is crucial. The shadow is alienation, feeling like you are the stranger in your own life, or just sabotaging good things because you're bored.
Right. Don't burn the city down just to see the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one final district. We're past the gates, out in the margins, the camp.
The camp. The place of memory, tribe, and the outcast. And the guardian here is the shepherd.
The shepherd I walk with, I watch over. This feels very different from the sovereign.
It is. The sovereign directs, the shepherd accompanies. The shepherd is the part of you that goes to the margins of your own soul, the parts you're ashamed of, the failures, and simply sits with them.
I love the distinction that the shepherd doesn't try to fix the sheep, because my instinct with my own flaws is to fix them immediately.
And that's a sovereign approach to a shepherd problem. The shepherd's role is guidance in belonging, not fixing. The shadow side here is rescuing. You see this in people who are constantly trying to save everyone around them. A true shepherd walks with someone through the valley. They don't carry them.
Because if you carry them, they never learn to walk.
And you break your own back. The shepherd reminds us that presence is often more powerful than a solution.
Wow. Okay, so we have these 7 archetypes. The problem, Johnson says, is that most of us are running a city with only 1 or 2 of them awake.
That's the diagnosis. You might have a loud sovereign, but your shepherd is asleep, so you're cruel to yourself when you fail. You're a tyrant to your own soul.
Or you have an overworked servant and a sleeping sentinel, so you're just exhausted and have no boundaries.
Exactly.
So the goal isn't to be all of them at once.
Right.
That sounds exhausting.
No, the goal is what Johnson calls situational mastery. Being a Plex means knowing which council member needs to speak up right now. It's all about context.
Like, if I am in a high-stakes contract negotiation, I probably don't want the shepherd leading that meeting.
No, in a negotiation, you want the sovereign for authority and the sentinel for boundaries. But if you come home to a partner who has had a terrible day, and you walk in with your sovereign energy,
Giving orders and fixing problems.
you're going to cause a fight. You need to tell the sovereign to sit down and ask the shepherd or the servant to step forward.
That is so practical. It's like a mixing board in a recording studio. You're
Yeah.
just adjusting the faders.
Johnson actually suggests a practice called the council meeting. It's a visualization exercise where you imagine these 7 figures sitting in a circle. You ask them, who needs to lead today?
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Asking, okay, Scribe, what are the facts? Seer, what's the bad feeling? Sovereign, make the call.
And stranger, what am I missing? What am I afraid to look at? It turns internal conflict into internal collaboration.
He also talks about combinations, which I found fascinating, like pairing them up.
Yes. This is where the Plex concept really shines. For example, sovereign plus servant. Together, you get just leadership.
But if you separate them, you get a tyrant or a martyr.
Correct. Another powerful one is sentinel plus stranger.
Which sounds like a contradiction. The guard and the intruder.
But together, they create safe innovation. The sentinel protects your core values while the stranger introduces new ideas. It's how you grow without losing yourself.
It really emphasizes that we are systems. We aren't just one static thing. But zooming out, Dr. Johnson wraps this up with a philosophy that I think is so countercultural. He talks about depth over width.
This is the so what of the book. We live in a world obsessed with followers, reach, audience size.
Yeah.
Johnson argues that being a Plex isn't about being famous or loud. It's about how deep your city goes. It's about having such a well-ordered internal city that you become a sanctuary for others.
A sanctuary in motion. I wrote that down. It's a beautiful phrase.
It's the vocation of presence. When your internal city is in order, you carry a peace that is palpable. You don't have to try to impress people. Your very presence does the work.
It goes right back to the intro. That person who walks into the room and shifts the atmosphere. They do that because their city is solid.
Precisely. And in a chaotic world, a well-ordered soul is a magnetic thing. People gather around it because it feels safe, it feels vast.
So for the listener right now who might be feeling like their city is a bit of a construction zone,
Yeah.
where do they start?
Johnson's advice is to simply start with a check-in. Visualize your city right now. Which district is lit up and vibrant, and which district is dark? Is your temple abandoned? Is your seat empty?
You don't have to fix it all today.
No. Just acknowledging that a part of you is dormant is the first step. If you realize your shepherd is asleep, maybe you just take 5 minutes today to be kind to yourself. That's how you light the lamp in that district.
You are not just a person. You are a PLEX. Your city awaits. That's the quote to end on.
It's a beautiful invitation.
It really is. Thank you for walking through this architecture with us. I feel like I need to go have a serious board meeting with my internal sovereign.
Just make sure the Sentinel guards the door.
Will do. And to you listening, thanks for diving deep with us. Take a moment today to walk your own streets. See who's home. We'll see you on the next deep dive.